stare at
Creep them out.
Hey, everybody. This is Carlos Robles from Immortals Inc. Podcast, here from the Immortals Inc. Podcast studio in glorious Rocky River, Ohio. And with me, as always, is Nate.
How you doing?
Nate Elwood. He's going to be reviewing our book today. We're going to take a step into the big boy territory and review Mythic Odysseys of Theros.
Yes.
Because that's a mainstream book. But in the meantime, before we get to that, I would like to I forgot. I lost my train of thought already. We got delayed because Facebook Live wouldn't work, so we went to Twitch, and Twitch is going to spin it over to Facebook, and then it's on YouTube, and I don't know. There's a lot of technical things going on behind here, and I didn't know what was going on. But the first thing I want to do is thank our co-producers, who are also our Patreon supporters, which would be in order of, well, no particular order, but Elyunn. Josh yelled at me for last week for pronunciations. Thomas Forms, my favorite. Lane DeLong. A. Jonesy, right? A.E. Jonesy. I pronounced it like all crazy. Melior Via, which is John Dunn's writing company. Yeah, produces games and stuff. Roger Cherni, and of course, Rusty Littell, also known as the proprietor of the Rusty Dragon Inn, which is still available for rent. These guys are all Patreon supporters and co-producers. If you'd like to be one, just go to Patreon and support us.
Okay.
Sorry. Man, it's like I looked at you like something was going to happen. And nothing. I'm going to throw that on the floor. So what else is new, Nate? What do you got going on?
What do we have going on? Let's see. Any releases in the store?
The 3D printed scenery from WizKids came out. It's not 3D printed. It's 3D, though.
What are they? Dungeon tiles.
Dungeon tiles. There's dungeons and bars and everything like that. I've got a bunch of them. You basically build your dungeon out of these tiles, and
they come in like, what is it, like 4x4 squares, and you kind of link them together.
And
there's
you can scenery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all pre-painted. It's all pretty nice. It's from WizKids. I don't know why I said 3D printed. That's weird.
Because everything's 3D printed now.
No, everything's 3D printed. I forgot. What else came out? Jumpstart boosters came and went. We got allocated. So they came in. They bought out. They were some ridiculous price when I checked them when we got them. We didn't sell them for that price, though. They were up to like, what, $20 a pack? We put, was it $6.99 on it? $7.99? $7.99 on them, and they lasted 2 days for what we had. They were all gone. The ticker. Oh, on the screen? Yeah. Like, is there a tick or something? We have a ticker now. This is fancy stuff Josh came up with. Ticker? Look at that. See, we're fancy now. Got the ticker. What else we got? What else came out? New Yu-Gi-Oh came out. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
New Card Fight Vanguard came out. I think it's called the next level. Booster pack came out, so that's available now. Plenty of 2021. We have, man, I cannot think right now.
What was that?
Oh, Theros releases today. That's why we're doing this podcast today.
Yes.
The Mythic Odyssey of Theros, which is a crossover between Magic and D&D.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have an alternate cover, and we have the standard cover, and there's the alternate fancy art cover.
Yes.
Which we don't have an alternate fancy art cover here. But we have plenty to sell. We just didn't bring one in the back for some reason. But Nate has the standard cover.
Which is very pretty.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. It's nice artwork.
I'm trying to think what else. Restock from a lot of Osmodeus stuff. Osmodeus. Jeez, oh, Pete. Osmode products. Got a lot of restock in, especially heavy on the Arkham Horror items.
And let's not forget what comes up the 25th.
Indominus box sets. We're going to do a podcast on Thursday about the Indominus. I think you're going to cover I'm sure everybody covered Roll the Rules, but you're going to really go into the campaign part of it.
The Crusade.
The Crusade part of it.
Because I think it's the most story-driven part of the game, and I think anybody who watches this regularly probably would like to hear that.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So we'll do that then. Along with, I know the new, I'm going to have the rule books. I'm going to have, we haven't sold out of the boxes, that's right, Josh? We'll have a couple boxes in store at least. So if you want it, you got to be here early Saturday. If you did not pre-order it, to pick it up.
You're gonna have the manuals as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have all the rule book. We're gonna have the rule book you can pick up. We're also gonna have the
Chapter approved manual.
Yeah, chapter
stuff.
approved to update all the other armies, and I think there was a couple of little fluff items I got too that came with it. So that'll be cool. And can't think of anything else. Nothing big's hitting me this week other than Mythic Odysseys of Theros and Indominus. But Nate, go ahead, take us away from. And this is the first time we're doing something like mainstream, like a major product.
Yeah,
so because we usually try to stay small and like the smaller companies or something, not main, because how many people probably have reviewed this book and written whole theses on it. So, but we're going to go with the local.
I'll give you my
small,
2 cents,
yeah,
all right? I'll give you my 2 cents
on why
this
the
one.
local gaming community here in Cleveland should come and buy this copy.
Yes.
Specifically from us.
All right. So we have the Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Book itself, it's a hardback, 256 pages. Like you said, it merges D&D and Magic. And it's basically Greek Bronze Age setting. It's just like every D&D product. It's a high quality product. I mean, we're talking about the kings of role playing here. So the artwork in it is beautiful. The page layout is what you expect from every 5th edition. It's dual columns, easy to read. The index is there. I mean, it is a D&D book, so there's nothing like unusual about the way it's laid out. Like some of the newer companies, they tend to put weird pictures in the middles and whatnot. This typical D&D layout. So that aside, basically this book can be summed up in like one word, and that word is epic. And I don't mean the way it's colloquially used now. Like, this is not like epic juice or something. I'm talking like this is about true epics, like the Odyssey or the Iliad. I mean, this is about over-the-top heroics, over-the-top magic. I mean, the book is for characters that are going to be interacting with the gods. So it's something very different than a normal, even though you can have a high fantasy game like Forgotten Realms or pretty much any of the high fantasy settings. This book kind of trumps all that because you literally, like I said, will interact with gods. So
does the characters reflect that, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
I just didn't want a campaign where you walk around talking to gods and that
No. I mean, think more like you're taking on the role of being Hercules or being Perseus.
A demigod.
Yes.
Okay.
So the book's has, like, the very beginning of the book is just a summary.
Already, I don't want this in my campaign. No, go ahead. Josh does. I do not.
So the book begins off. I think it's only like 4 or 5 pages of just a summary of this is Theros. This is what the setting is like. Like, it doesn't go into. It's just a very broad aspect of what Theros is and what it isn't.
Well, Theros was released in a Magic set.
Yes.
Like last year.
Years
ago.
I think 2015 or something.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
So I lose my time frame. But yeah, Theros was a Magic set that was released, and every time Magic releases a set, it comes up with its own background and world and a story. So. And
they basically took that and ran with it with this book, basically.
Yeah, they did it before with Ravnica.
Yes.
And I really didn't. Innistrad?
Yeah.
No. Innistrad. No, that was Ravenloft. Well, I think Innistrad came from Ravenloft, which then went back to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It was the other way around. D&D.
No, but this one, it was nowhere.
Right.
This was originally Magic. There was no. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, in all honesty, it's Greek mythology.
Yeah, basically.
But kind of souped up a bit and given new names.
Mm-hmm.
But the very beginning, like I said, it's a few pages, but it gives you basically the overall of the setting, what it is and what it isn't, and basically they kind of set you up for how the game should be perceived. And like I said, it is an epic game. You get to character creation right after that, and character creation is you're going to make characters that are going to be very much more powerful than your regular characters.
Nope.
And it's because you have this heroic drive. So even when you start creating your character, where you have your ideals and your bonds and your flaws, they tell you to amp that up to like 11. Like your flaws, like the one they give an example of, or the bonds that you have. Like one of the ones that they give you an example of is that you grew up as an urchin, let's say, and your best friend growing up who kept you out of trouble and kept you alive sometimes, you find out, was actually the god of trickery who was in human form and helped you out. So, I mean, that's the type of epic tale. Because this,
so right
like
off the bat, you're bonded to a god.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And not only that, but, I mean, this is about playing a Greek, like, I shouldn't say Greek, but a high fantasy heroic character.
Sort of
so
like,
your flaws are going to be huge. Like, they should be something tragic and appropriate, and your bond should be huge, and your ideal should be amplified as well. Everything, just think of a character, but bigger. And you have, like... But since everybody's doing that, it's not like there's just one character in this one class that gets this awesome stuff. This is everybody.
That's even worse.
Well, you think so? And when I first started reading
I'm already horrified, but go ahead.
When I first started reading, I'm like, oh man, because you get a supernatural gift on top of everything. You get this supernatural gift that you can pick out, and some of them are like let's just take the anvil rot for one. You have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance to poison damage. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. You are immune to disease, and you don't need to sleep.
This is your player character?
This is the first level, entry level player character. If you choose that supernatural gift, that is what comes inherent with it.
I'm cringing as a DM.
Right. And I was doing the same thing.
Okay, I'll let it go. All right, I'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
You're just like, oh my god, like this is going to be insane. Like,
I can already see
right.
like Josh is drooling over here.
And I mean, some of them are, like I said, these gifts are really cool. A lot of them, they're very diverse, and they can set up for a really epic game. Like you can be an oracle, and the god will literally talk to you. Or you can introduce a new thing called piety, where the more you do for a particular god, they grant you other things that you can use as an in-game mechanic. So it's pretty interesting as far as character creation goes. Races, though, are different. Like there's no elves or dwarves or gnomes and halflings and whatnot, or dragonborn or tieflings and stuff. What they have is you have humans, you have centaurs, you have satyrs, Elyunn, which are like lion people, and minotaurs. And each one of those, and tritons, which are like sea people. And each one of those have kind of like two different types of, I guess, clans, you could say, that you could choose from.
So they really narrowed it down for
they
this.
did, but at the same time, this is your game. If you want to have an elf, by all means, throw an elf in.
I like, it's getting better. Right. I like that already, that you narrowed it down to those. Gives it the feel of something different. It's still D&D, but something different already.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, this amps everything up to 11 because you want to create stories that are like Jason and the Argonauts. Mm-hmm. You know, it wasn't like Joe and his friends on a boat. This was Jason and the Argonauts.
Well, it was
what
Jason,
I'm saying?
though.
Right.
Pretty.
It wasn't like a fisherman who just like happened to come across a golden fleet. I mean, he had to go fight stuff, and a bunch of his friends died. I mean, think Clash of the Titans.
I was going to say Clash of the Titans.
The old one and the new one.
Well, I was going to say the good one and the new one. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Do they know as a player character you have these abilities?
Yeah.
So you already know. You walk in area.
When you create your character, you're going to use the rules that are set up for.
No, not you. Creation. I mean, does your character, your player,
your player character
knows it has these abilities?
Yes, you pick them out. You get it right off the get-go.
So you're already starting.
Now you can have. A lot of people will look at it in min-max, obviously, because a lot of D&D. But at the same time, it sets it up to be a heroic, epic game.
Are these characters above everybody else? Like, are these exceptional people in their community? I think that's true
in any role-playing game. Like there's an old comic book.
That's extremely exceptional.
There was an old comic book called More Than Mortal, Less Than Divine. And that's how I always looked at PCs, that I would, whenever I ran a game, all my PCs, I looked at them as more than mortals, but less than divine. So they can die and everything, but they're not your average person. Adventurers never should be. With this, though, it's really tailored to say, hey, You are chosen by the gods. You have a destiny and a fate that is going to be something spectacular.
All right, go ahead. I'm already like, okay, go ahead. No, that just seems like, say you're having an adventure, you could still be a farm guy who just happens to be good at strong, right? And
right, but
you
that'd
go out
be
and be an
boring.
adventure.
Like, what are you going to be like? Oh,
but
you
I'm just
plant
saying
crops.
with D&D, you can move yourself up. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, that's part of it. You're still normal. Now you're chosen by the gods. You're given these special abilities. Man, I'm nerding out for a minute. You're given these special abilities. Then all of a sudden you're there. Is there normal people?
Yeah, there's lots of normal people.
All right, so then you're this exceptional person.
Yes. You
in
are.
these normal people.
But there's also other exceptional people. You've got to understand the gods in this setting are very much a part of the world. They're not these omnipotent. They're not omnipotent, and they're not omniscient either.
So they're dumbed down gods on top of it.
I mean, they're immortal, excessively powerful beings that they can twist fate to a degree, but they can't really bend it. I mean,
that's kind of the normal story.
Right,
though.
but we're talking about
that's why the human comes into play.
Right, and you got to look at it through the lens of Greek mythology, where these gods have very much human characteristics as far as flaws and envy and all of those things go. But they interact with this world on a much more regular scale than any of the gods and any of the other.
So they're running. You might
books.
see them buying like a pack of cigarettes at the corner store.
I don't know about that, but you definitely know when they give a great picture in here. Is actually, let me get to the God section because it's a wonderful picture. There is
what I'm thinking
right
of.
here. Sailor ticked off a god by saying something. God heard it, and he literally sends lightning bolts down to destroy the ship. I mean, that's the type. Like I said, think Greek gods. I mean,
Vengeful, yeah.
Right. I mean, the whole Troy, if you believe it, because they couldn't agree who was the best looking. I guess I don't remember the exact story.
Yeah,
but
I'm a little rough
They threw
on all mine.
one of them threw an apple and was like, "This is for the fairest," and like all the other gods were like, "Oh, I'm the fairest." No, I am, and then whatever.
Well, that's a good reason to start a fight, as far as I'm concerned.
And then millions of people die. Why not?
Well, it happens.
But all the races in here are, like I said, they're all pretty cool races. Like you have humans, you have centaurs, which are from two different breeds. You have like the trading mercantile, and then you have like the bandits.
I like the centaur player character already.
Right. The Elyunn are actually they're a unique creature within this realm because they don't really believe in the gods, or I shouldn't say believe. They know they're there, but they just don't think that they are worthy of admiration.
They just okay.
But they're very fierce and independent. When you have minotaurs, you have two different types of one side of minotaurs that follow there's like different war gods or different gods who have like an aspect of war. One of them is more along the line of carnage and bloodshed and just the violence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have minotaurs that follow that god, and then you have minotaurs that don't. And then satyrs. Satyrs are awesome. I have no idea why, but I've always loved satyrs from mythology and from fantasy. So
well, you're kind of a happy-go-lucky kind.
Yeah,
of guy.
there you go.
You're much more
live for life.
Yeah,
but I think the Tritons are some of the coolest characters in this book. It's you're not a mermaid, you're not a sea elf. You're like almost H.P. Lovecraft, like fish people.
Deep one.
Yeah, but like I said, the races and everything and making a player character, it's laid out in here how to do it. And they also have, your atypical, the subclass stuff, like the College of Eloquence for the Bard, which is kind of like oration and whatnot. Then you have the Paladin Oath of Glory, which is really, really cool, where like you are, like think Hercules and whatnot. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. Okay. They also have a new background called the Athlete because you have not the Olympic Games, but the Ionian Games, but it's a new type of background. So just like, I forget how many are in the Player's Handbook, but you can just add this one in now. And I thought that was pretty cool, like to have a background in not just
athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good because like I know in the D&D system they always say you can take the athletic feat.
Yes.
It's kind of generic,
yes.
Like define athletic, could be
Well, it's how many skills do you want to throw in? They wanted to keep it a small skill set they didn't want to get back into proficiency.
No, I meant like in general. Like I would have people like would try. Well, I'm going to use athletics. Well, how does that apply? But at the same time, like curling is an athletic event. An Olympic event. So
probably the only athletic event I could compete in.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like I think I could do that maybe, but there's a lot of things. I could do that competitively. You could do any of them.
Oh man, I'll take that Swiffer and clear the ice.
Then you try it one time and you're like, oh my god, this is hard. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Then you get into the next chapter, which is about the gods of Theros. It introduces the 15 gods of the pantheon, and it is a monster part of the book. It's I want to say,
does it match from the game?
I think it's like 50 pages long.
But does it match are all the gods in there that?
I'm assuming. Like I said, I'm not a magic player, but
I'm sure somebody else has said they.
But there's 15 different deities.
I'm gonna guess that yes, because that sounds about right. For some reason, that sounds about.
And you can see which ancient Greek deities they put the aspects into. Yeah. But each deity give at least 2 or 3 pages, full pages on their influence in the world, their goals. I mean, they really get into each god, which they have to, because, like I said, the gods of this world are very crucial to not only the background, but the story that you're going to weave as well. And they also show you and bring in the piety system, which really isn't a gigantic thing, but it basically gives you benefits for following the creeds of the god or doing something that would be pleasing to that god. You can also lose piety by going against their will.
Piety is the benefits you get for worshiping.
Not just worshiping, but doing furthering their goal and aim. But it's a large portion of the book, and like I said, it goes through every single god. And
well, that would be kind of cool to read, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, it's a good read too. I mean, they
just for
really go in depth, and even from just a novel aspect, it was cool to read about all the different gods.
I just saw you flip through like pretty much every. I don't know if you noticed, but you pretty much, I don't know if you did it accidentally, but you like pictured all the gods when you were flipping through there, and those are all like magic. I've seen all those in a magic card. So.
Yeah. After you get through the gods aspect, you get to the real meat and bones of the setting itself. And it goes through all the realms. You have the realms of mortals, you have the realms of the gods, the underworld. So this gives you...
Is this a world?
Yes.
It's not a section of...
I mean, it is a section of an...
It's a different world.
Like they have a map of it, and it looks, it's like a...
That's what I mean. That's not part of like Forgotten Realms.
Right. This isn't. Okay. They're not attaching it to a different world, but this is where the
this
stories
is in its self-contained.
Think of it's the Mediterranean except in fantasy.
If you were in Forgotten Realms and you wanted to go there, you'd have to get on a Spelljammer. Is that what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
Yeah, different plane.
Different plane of existence.
Got it.
But it goes through all the city states, and just like in ancient Greece, they have their Athens like and Spartan like ones, and it also goes over the lands of the Elyunn and anything.
Which are the elves?
The lion people.
Oh.
But it goes through like histories of each one and the movers and shakers in a way, and what each city state. They don't call them city states, but I mean, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What each poli or police they call it does, and that's really a huge portion also of immersing yourself into the setting. Mm-hmm. And they did a good job of it. They leave enough to be ambiguous that you can fill in your own blanks, but enough to have a nice foundation for you to build on.
It's just the source material.
Right.
It's good source material.
And then when you get into the realms of the gods and the underworld and all of that, they also leave plenty for you to fill in the blanks because it needs to be much more ambiguous, but also a good foundation. Then they have what I thought was really cool is omens, like random omens that you can roll for and stuff. And it's separated by gods. So if you're like, oh man, I need Neela to have an omen sent to my character, I can just roll on this for it. Or you can even just randomly determine a god and then have an omen show up. I mean, it's pretty cool.
What's the omen that's for like adventures? Like, what's an example of one of the omens there? Just anything.
Let's see. We'll go with.
Just grab it from first one you see.
First one I see. All right. So the sound of hammer rings in the air. That means that the omen of Perseus, which is like the god of the anvil and forge and everything. So, you can have these random events that are divinely inspired. It also goes into like ordeals and quests and pretty much everything you need to do to run a game. Like I'll call this the DM section. Like up until that point, player characters can read, but once you get to the creating a Theros adventure, and that is like, I want to say it's almost 100 pages long.
That looks like
It's almost half the book.
Yeah, it's a good part of that.
Which
book.
is necessary, to be honest with you. They have this great setting, they have this great rich background for it, drawing off of human history, and then like, so what are you going to do with that? Well, here you go. This is the DM section. This is how you make a epic game. We're not going to just give you a railroad here, but we're going to show you. And they do a great job. I think they do a very admirable job of walking through what this type of game would be.
As soon as you said the powerful characters like that, and then you're interacting with gods, immediately as a DM, I'm like, oh, where do I even go with that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To me, I'm like, I'm not that smart that I would be able to write something clever that a god would do, or some kind of issues or world-spanning problems that can be solved. And I can't do that. I don't have one. I'm not smart enough, and two, I don't have the time. You know, But if you're saying that go ahead. Explain.
When I got to this portion of the book, it was where this book, for me at least, started to shine, because they go through every single god here, and they show you if you're going to have this god as like the champion of your story, or conversely, if this god's going to be the villain of your story, and the motivations behind both of those. What kind of quests would they send the PCs on? What kind of trials would they have to undergo? And what's really cool is you can kind of mix and match depending on who your PCs are following. All these different narratives can come together. So, like I said, it's essential to have this much of the book devoted to how to GM this game. That
makes me feel better already about it.
And to be honest, like, it's not just power level that we're talking about here. I mean, when you're talking about being touched by the gods, like, there's some things that the PC should just have no problem doing. But then there should be real challenges.
That's the other issue. It's like to come up with a challenging scenario on top of.
And they go through in this section. They go through here's the ideas for the backdrop of it. Here's some ideas to flesh it in. You can start putting more meat on these bones and tailoring it to your PCs. And then you get to the I call it the obligatory adventure in almost every source book, where it's like. I think all the creators come together like, okay, we need to make an adventure that you can read out of the book that gives it the flavor and everything.
Yes.
This one, it does a good job of giving the flavor. It does a good job of setting up what an epic will be like. But what I really liked about it was that it didn't kind of like throw everything in the bag so that you get everything. And here, this is everything. Just
too much.
Right. This is just the right amount, in my opinion. Like, I think as far as opening adventures go, you can modify I always modify them, but you can modify this pretty easily to suit your needs, and it gives, like I said, a really good feeling for not only the setting but how the gods interact with people and how your characters will interact with the gods. And then you get to the treasures and some magical items and artifacts that obviously the golden fleeces and Zeus's, not Zeus.
Hey Josh, how would you like to find
bolts.
Zeus's lightning bolts in a campaign?
But that's actually a pretty small section of the end of it. The rest of it is a bestiary, which puts in monsters appropriate for a Greek myth.
No, thank God.
And of course, you come across the really legendary creatures like krakens and
Medusas.
Yeah, I mean which I thought was awesome. I mean,
is there Medusas or is there one Medusa?
Well, they're all Gorgons.
Okay,
they're all Gorgons, but yeah, it gives you epic things to throw against your epic characters when the time is right. You're not just gonna like throw the Kraken up against the first level characters.
Well,
I don't care how touched by gods they are.
Well,
especially the one they put in here where you have to beat it twice because it's cool. I don't want to ruin
somebody.
It
Yeah,
it's
somebody
really
told
cool.
me there was like a cool feature for a lot of those monsters.
Yes, there's something a legendary aspect of it or mythic aspect of it that makes it really cool, and I thought that was awesome. Like, I love how they didn't put stats for the gods in, because they're just like, look, these gods you're not going to fight them. These are
Thank you.
Powerful. Yes, these are powerful powerful beings. You are not going to fight them.
Do you remember a setting from the old D&D? I think it might have been 2nd edition where they did it the Immortals.
Was it?
It was a box set. It was
Gods
like
and Demigods, or
no?
Oh.
It was like a box set. See, man, we should plan these out better because we'd have a little picture of it. But it was a box set. You had your basic box set, then you had your like advanced box set, or your it's like the red, the blue, and then this was like a gray set. And it's called Immortals, or it was something to do with the Immortals, and basically it was like levels 20 on up.
See,
yeah.
If it came out like around the time that AD&D 2 came out,
I can't.
I was 8, so
okay.
Yeah, I was more interested in
You
just
shut your
the
mouth.
player's handbook. Oh, that's so cool. Like,
yeah, they had these
I never
box
even
sets,
thought
you know,
of that.
because it's like I'm just such an avid, you know, I've been playing this for so long, and I'm just such an avid collector. I buy, you know, these are things I'm collecting now that I could never have as a kid, you know, and that's one of the other box sets I'm looking for, and it's like an Immortal setting, but it was a Greek setting because on the cover it was even one god pushing another god over a Greek temple, and there was some goofy stuff in there. But yeah, this is kind of what it reminds me of. Is if you really, this is like instead of waiting till your 20th level and go crazy,
right? You get to go crazy off the get-go.
You can go crazy. Yeah, they can go crazy right off the get-go.
I mean, not crazy, but
yeah,
the PCs from Theros, they're going to have extra powers, but they're not.
I don't think
powerful
you would,
by any means.
Yeah, like as a DM, I'm already like, if I'm running a normal campaign, there's no way. Well, I want to use the Theros book. Nope.
Not unless, to be honest, this I don't think would mesh well. As
it doesn't.
It needs to kind of be off on its own.
Yeah, I'm from another dimension, but this is on first level. The races.
Yeah, I think the races would carry over all right if. Well, to be honest, there isn't a whole lot. There's not a whole lot in here about just your atypical weapons and armor. There isn't.
Does it require? Yeah, you need the regular rules to play that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You need the DMG, the player's handbook. This is just a setting book. This isn't like a separate rule set.
Huh? Yeah. Is a centaur a player character in the new? It's now.
It is now. Yeah. But people have homebrewed stuff forever. You know, so
yeah. It's just,
I mean,
that goes back to time. You know?
Right now, a friend of mine is running this along with the Arcadia source book,
which is I just
kind of mixing them both together, and we're playing like a Bronze Age heroic Greek game. So it's only limited by this. By no means do you just say, okay, it's just confined to this book.
No.
But I think if you took player characters from Theros or created by using the Theros rules, but not using the setting, it would be very imbalanced.
Yes,
and because they're tailored to be towards the setting, and it's a cool setting.
I'm not criticizing at all. No, I'm just looking like for me, like as a DM, that would be fun. And I personally don't think I could run anything from there because I'm not that creative, or I'm not that good to do like big epic stuff like that right off the riff. And I prefer the smaller first level. You start out and you build that.
But you still build on this one.
Yeah,
believe me.
I could play in that. That would be fun. But I'd need, you need somebody. You got to know your limitations. But there's a lot of creative guys. Like I'm amazed when I come in here and I listen to people, and I think I'm pretty cool and nerdy, and I have a lot of games I play, and I know what I'm doing with a lot of games. And then these guys start talking, like you and Hugh, and there's what's that guy who does the bearded gent.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, I know.
The bearded nerdy guy.
Yeah,
the
bearded nerdy guy. And they come in and, man, they just have ideas and this background. And they're just, I'm like, oof, man. Even Vargas comes in. He just starts talking. And all of a sudden you got a whole world. And I'm like, how do you do that? But, it's just maybe the thought process and the way things work,
Don't imagination's for everybody. So
yeah, but I like that they put it out there. Like I feel that if I read that, and Wizards always puts out good stuff.
Yeah,
and they're never, it's never, not especially now. It's not crappy. It's like somebody's doing really good stuff. I feel that from your description that I could read this and I could run this. Yes. I could come up with something at least and then build from it.
I still think I still see this.
But I really like that big part of adventure in the back, the DM section in the back. Okay.
I see this more as like
that's a saving grace from the very first when you said, "Oh, these characters can breathe underwater and immune to poison." Oh God, go ahead.
I see this more as people who've played D&D for a little bit, and they're looking for something different. I don't see this as, like I said, personally, I just don't see this as, I'm going to pick up this book, and then the DMG, and the Player's Handbook, and the Bestiary, and, to just play this game. I think this is like...
Right off the bat?
Right. I think this is literally more along the lines of, we want something different. Like, this is a setting that is unique to itself. It draws off of a lot of human, Greek mythology, and it's always been appealing to most people. So I think this book is great for established gamers who are like, you know what, we want to try something different. I like my Forgotten Realms or Ravenloft or whatever campaign setting you're in, but we want to do something different. And this right here, this is definitely something different.
That's cool.
It's not just a setting that's high fantasy but dark, or high fantasy but
it's classic fantasy.
Right. I mean, this is Bronze Age. Like when you look at this is Bronze Age hoplites and city states and the Mediterranean during its prime with ships. I mean, it's really
the Greek and Roman era.
Bronze Age, yeah. I mean, more Greek than Rome, but yes, definitely.
I'm just
And there's so many options in here to have the gods interact with each other in ways that the PCs will never know. It's almost like they do a good job.
It's like watching, like you said, Clash of the Titans. Watching a movie, you got the gods fighting, they got these guys. Right. There's a whole story going on there, and one part of the story affects the other part of the story.
You're not going to go up against the god and try to kill it.
No,
that's impossible. Unless another god could probably do it, but they're all family.
Well, maybe
they're all family, and that would be. They could hate each other, but they still don't want to kill each other. And you know what I'm saying?
I could see where that would be an adventure where you trying to trick one god to kill another god.
Oh yeah,
based on what another third god said.
Right.
It's yeah.
I mean, just draw from that old read the Iliad or like it's
read anything.
Yeah, pretty much the hero's tale.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy, but well, that's good. What? So, do you think they were trying to draw D&D players into the world of Magic,
or vice versa?
Yeah, or Magic into the world of D&D.
I really can't
or they just do it because they had a setting and it was something to do.
I think more along the lines of.
And I'm saying this from like a retailer's point of view.
Yeah, from a marketing point of view,
I
think this might be D&D touching their toe and saying, hey, if you like playing Magic the Gathering and you have this narrative already, here's a rule set that you can, instead of playing the cards, you can now be immersed in that, but I don't know too many Magic players that haven't dipped their toe in role playing and vice versa.
That's probably could be why they did
it's
that
a very
also.
It's not like they're mutually exclusive. A lot of people are cross gamers. There's not one person who's like, I will only play Magic. That's all I'm ever going to play. I'm never going to look at anything else.
It's fascinating because it's not fascinating, but yeah, okay, screw it. When I play Magic, mine is a lot of like numbers, and in my mind, it's logical.
Right.
You're playing this, I got to do this. This does that. I see guys that play and they're like, oh, I'm going to take mine, and they'll use the card name, and it's almost like they're having their little adventure to them,
Yes.
And it's like, but I think inherently they know what the numbers do, but it's more fun for them to actually play it out to say, my
gaming
skeleton horde overruns your lions, but they know what the numbers do.
Right.
I have to do the numbers, but
it's with any game, even with miniatures. I've always liked the story aspect of 40K more than I want to have fun playing the game. Everybody wants to win when they play.
Okay, that's a good.
But you want you have people that are like, I just want to play. I'm going to number crunch and come up with the min max it so that I can play. And that's how tournaments are done. This is how my army interacts. You have to general it well, but a lot of it has to do with how do you mitigate the randomness of a dice roll and whatnot. And how do you, a lot of that is just analytical thinking and logical thinking. And then you have people more like me who are like, what do I like and what sounds cool and what kind of story can I put behind it?
Now that you said that makes sense, because when I play 40K, I just like the story.
Yeah.
I don't care about the numbers, and
right.
It's nice.
This
but
is
I'm
a
not
crap
gonna,
unit, but
yeah.
I just happen to like the fluff behind it. So
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm
going to throw that in there. I'm going to throw that one in there.
D&D is also let's see what happens, but Magic is not. It's more precise.
I mean, but Magic is a huge market. You can't put that. I mean, it's a gigantic market, and maybe this is them dipping the toe and saying, hey, why don't you come to the dark side of D&D or vice versa. Or people will be like, oh man, I really like the gods in this. Oh, there's a whole card game that
I see it
that
going,
does that.
I see them going from the card game to D&D.
Yeah.
Because like if you're playing D&D, you probably don't want to go back like to the card game. The card game you can expand or get deeper into the world of the magic through this. It almost going from D&D almost limits you the other way. Anyway, never mind. It was just crazy thought process. But well, that's good. So not for entry level D&D though, right?
I don't see this as an entry level thing. Like
okay, so not first timer.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
first world.
Like I said, I don't see you paying $150 for the core books and then another $50 on top of it. So $200 investment for just Theros. Mm-hmm. I see somebody who's already played D&D, who's maybe like, all right, I 5th edition has Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft. They still have Greyhawk. No, it's gone. See, I don't even, like the ones that I grew up with, like Dragonlance.
I see it coming back one day, but no, I don't see Greyhawk.
Well, do they have Eberron?
Great.
Do they have Eberron still?
Eberron.
Okay, so I mean, you have these settings.
I wonder why they didn't do Greyhawk back yet.
Well, Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms. I mean, it's all the same. I mean, okay, so Ravenloft was Forgotten Realms,
but it was
dark.
part of Forgotten Realms.
What Greyhawk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not Greyhawk.
Ravenloft was part of everything. They threw in everything in there. Like I think the last to put it on a term, like since this is a D&D setting, not like the Middle Earth one that we did for the 5th edition Middle Earth game.
Yeah, that was totally different.
A long time. That's very different. This is an actual Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons product saying this is going to be a new setting. The last one that I can remember that was really groundbreaking to me was Dark Sun way back in the 90s.
I was just thinking of that. I think they should bring that back too.
Yeah, I would love that too. But this is a cool setting. I enjoyed the book. I actually liked reading it. The gods are very, almost relatable in some aspects, and it sparks a lot of ideas when you're reading through it. The DM section, well done. I like the beginning adventure. I mean, there's few things. I mean, besides putting like some of the more mundane stuff in here, of what's a hoplite armor like, or do you just say, okay, it's medium armor and just give whatever medium armor is, or
you fill in
what I'm saying, like a sword's a sword as far as the a bronze sword is the same as a long sword, or whatever you want to say.
I think that where it comes in.
But what I really think about it is though that they didn't put that kind of stuff in here because you have to be able to fit all the epic stuff you're throwing in there, and you can
look that up,
right,
stuff
and
yourself.
you can throw that all in.
That's real. That was real at one point.
Yeah, right.
Well, it still is real. But all right, what would you give it out of a 10?
Out of a 10, I give this a solid 9.
Right,
give it a solid 9.
What's the one?
The one down part of it. I think they could have gone a little more in depth when it came to an overall world, because to me, like, yes, they focus on this one section. And whatnot, but like, and they give hints at a bit of a world outside of it. But when you're talking about dealing with the divine and everything, I think that could have been expounded a little bit, just because even with all the other setting books, they have a complete world. It's not just here's this one
area.
Archipelago, but it's a minor thing, to be honest, because there's enough in there to jam, and you could take characters for a long time with it.
And it's still new, and I'm sure people go run with it, and eventually they'll have a whole world.
I'm sure they always have supplements on top of supplements. So,
all right, well, that's cool. Yeah. All right, thanks, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we part? Indominus 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. We'll do a review on that,
and we'll listen to the Crusade. Store is still opening and running 12 to 9. Wear face mask unless you're 6 feet away, like I am from Nate. And Josh and myself. Still open and running. Monday nights are still Vanguard, Cardfight Vanguard. What about it? Am I not looking at it? Oh, sorry. Monday nights are still Vanguard. I was thinking, man. I'm thinking. It's my new glasses. I'm getting vertigo. My new my 70s cop glasses. So Monday nights are Vanguard. Tuesday's open. Wednesday, we're still trying to get D&D League. Trying to figure that out.
how are got 5 people can't be around the same table. Yeah.
Events are coming, whatever they decide to do with this pandemic-esque stuff.
The plague. Thursdays are open. Friday, drafts, right? We're still doing drafts on Friday. Is it Magic sanctioning them or no? Not yet. Magic has closed it, but we're still doing it. Face mask required. We got plenty of space. Saturdays is Commander for the drafts. What's the start off fee?
$15.
For that?
$15. You get 4. You get 3 packs and one goes into prize or 2. Pack per win. Forgot. You get 3 packs and 3
guaranteed
rounds.
to make a deck out of 3 packs.
Yeah.
All right.
And then as long as you win 1 round, you'll be all right. You get 3 rounds. 3 rounds is the Friday Night Magic, or as the Friday Night Magic. Saturdays is still Commander all day. Sundays is we have alternating days of John Dunn running Genesis, which is the RPG from Fantasy Flight. It's kind of a generic, I don't say generic system, but it's an open system.
Right.
I think he's running a fantasy version. And Josh shrugs his shoulders. And then on the other nights, it's Savage Worlds.
Yes.
You've got a guy running Savage Worlds, which is also another system.
A sandbox system.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Also on Sunday nights, I got Tim coming in, and we've been playing Arkham Horror card game, which I'm now a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it seemed like it's pretty an in-depth game.
It is pretty.
It looked really daunting to me. I'm like, man,
there's a lot. But like anything, there's a lot. But once you learn to play it, it's pretty good. So that's why, like, when Tim comes in, Tim's like knows it up and back and forward. He's like, oh, we're gonna play this, and I thought it would just be like, no, it's a storytelling game where you're like, oh, you got to do this, you got to work together. His son's there. His son always wants to. His son gets skittish. He's like, oh, I should run away, and I'm like, no, get back in here. The last time it worked, we beat a bunch of ghouls. This week we died. We died horribly.
And that's a good Lovecraft tale, right?
It was, because the way the cards were drawn. In order for us to win, because eventually we would go up the Great Old One or whatever, and the way you can fight it, which wasn't going to work, or if you had one character with you, like an ally, you could sacrifice her to it because she was the actual bad guy. And here I am drawing cards. I'm like, all right, I got 2 more cards if I can get her, because it was in my deck. I'm like, really? Am I hoping to get this female so I can sacrifice her? I go, what kind of win's a win, you know? But what I like is the card game. Because of what happened in our game this week, this part of the campaign, it affects the next campaign.
Okay.
So, like, if you sacrifice this person, you have negatives, like you have mental trauma and all this. You got to add to your deck. If you didn't win, you guys are just dead. And you got to start over. So it's pretty cool. But it's those are Sunday nights, 6 o'clock. We're doing that. So if you want to learn it, or you have it and you're not too sure how to play it, or you just were, you said it was overwhelming.
I had the board game I picked up, and I pulled out the rule booklet, and it.
Yeah, nice chunk. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I started reading it, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to play this like 3 or 4 times just to kind of get the hang of it. It's not a game that you can just be like, oh, we'll play it a few days.
You don't need
it's
anything.
Like 6 hours of board game. So.
If you come in and play, you don't need anything. Just come in. He's got everything. We'll play it, and then that's it. We're adding new stuff. I was supposed to have a 40K swap meet this weekend, but I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cancel that. I couldn't work it out and not have too many people here. It's not going to work right now. And what else was there? Can't think of anything else. How about you?
No.
And once again, I'd like to thank our Patreon supporters, which Josh is going to put up right here. Thank you again. If you want to be a co-producer, Patreon supporter, just sign up. We have a bunch of levels, and due to COVID, we weren't able to keep those levels up or what we wanted to do. But now that we're getting back into the swing of things, we'll get back into it. So hopefully we'll take care of you. We will take care of you. Josh will take care of you. So if he doesn't, call me. Let me know. And
as always, if anybody out there is watching this and they would like a game to be reviewed, whatever it may be, role-playing game, just drop us a line. Be like, hey, what's this game like? Or what's your take on it? Or if you really want my 2 cents, then toss it our way.
Or if you are a game company that has games and it's smaller and you want us to review it or let us know. We'll give it a try. Yeah. All right. We're on Spotify. We are on YouTube. We are on every social media. And Josh likes to keep up with it. And that's all. All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Stay safe.
Till next time. Bye.